What's up, guys? This is Rajpur here. So I'll be just sharing with you guys some tips. Is it recording? All right. Today I'll be sharing with you guys some tips on how do you do well in additional mathematics. So a bit of history. Well, I took additional mathematics back in 2011, and for 2 years, every exam, the mid-year exam and the year-end exam that we had in school, I failed it. I got F9, and last year, which was my final year in secondary school, I got a B. So I went from an F to a B. Of course, it's not like a big deal compared to what other people have done, but I just want to share with you guys my knowledge, and hopefully with what I've shared with you and with your hard work, you should be able to do well. All right, provided you're committed. All right. So first of all, let's get started. No matter how many chapters they are, whether there's 15 chapters, 20 chapters, all right, behind every single chapter there are a set of basic principles. Now, these fundamental principles, all right, you need to know them, because if you don't know them, there's no way that you can understand the chapter, and hence there's no way you can actually do questions that are related to the chapter during exam or whatever. So how do you identify these basic principles? Simple. Open up the textbook from page 1 of the chapter, read through it line by line. Of course, you guys will be like, oh man, it's crap, but really, when you read through line by line, you'll start to identify, certain important stuff that they tell you, and make sure that you take note of them, highlight them, underline them, whatever. And this is how you actually take note of the basic stuff. And once you've understood these basic principles, you should constantly revise, and I would say replenish your skills that you have on the chapter by doing assessment books. Work on your skills, all right? Do them every day. Well, not every day. You could just spend like an hour every day to just do questions related to that chapter. Now, you don't have to do 100 questions. You don't have to do 1,000 questions. It's the quality, not the quantity. All right. You can do 100 questions. You can still don't understand a shit, but you can do at least 2 questions and you can understand, because, as I said, it's not about how many questions you do, right? Because at the end of the day, all right, no one can remember every single thing that he has studied. I'm sure that he would forget some of the stuff that he studied. All right. So with this being said, once you have done recapping a chapter, maybe at the end of the day, or maybe a few hours later, try to recall what you have learned, what you have understood from studying that particular chapter. All right. So second thing is that you get something like a notebook, all right, and you can start to do your exercises over there in the notebook and start to write down some of the important stuff over there, important notes that you have made over in the notebook. And when you have this notebook, you have a record of what you have done, the work that you have done over here. Actually, you can have this, or you can just simply take your exam papers that you get back, flip through them and look through where you have gone wrong, all right, and try to spot your mistakes and try to think through and evaluate where you have been wrong, where you have gone wrong, all right. So, and try to fill up the holes, all right, and along with that, try to make a vow to yourself not to repeat the same mistakes again in exam. So for my case, it was careless mistakes, and I'm just going to share with you guys the tip on how to reduce careless mistake. Number one, don't rush through the question, all right? What I used to do is that I used to read a few lines of the question and just start to do. Now, of course, this is wrong. So what you guys should do is to read through the question word by word and try to identify what they're asking you about, all right? If possible, try to identify which chapter they are testing you on. So once you've done this, once you've understood what the question's about, and do it calmly, all right? Make sure that your handwriting is neat. Make sure that you have stated your workings clearly. Don't skip steps, because if you think that, all right, I can multiply this in my head, all right, you might go wrong. So just write down every single step. But once you're good at this, you don't need to do it every single time. All right. But to be good, write down the steps, every single step first. All right. So that it's presentable. Okay. My third thing I'd like to share with you guys is to before your exam. All right. How do you actually do well in that? Now, of course, when the first thing itself is to have proper sleep before your paper, and along with that, don't you know don't be like your friends and before the paper flip through every single thing. Just stay with yourself and don't bother discussing with your friends, because this guy must say something else and then you'll be like, hey man, I didn't know that was coming out, and then this guy says something, ah man, that's crap, this is not coming out, this is not tested, and then everyone gets confused. So keep away from that crap and just stay to yourself. Okay, have a calm mind, and try to have a watch with you so you can take note of the time. Okay, and when the teacher says start, everyone will start flipping through the paper and start doing. Well, don't be like them. Just take about 5 to 10 seconds after the teacher says start. Just try to be calm and do it. Now, of course, it is okay if you're like 5 to 10 seconds behind behind your friends, but still, you're calm by yourself, not like them rushing every single thing. Okay. Another tip that I like to give you guys is to try hard. All right, keep trying hard, and you should be able to do well. Let's just say you encounter a question and you can't do it, so you'll be like, oh man, I couldn't do it. All right, leave it. But in reality, you can do it, except you're not thinking enough. Now, I'd like to share with you guys something that happened to me. There was a question that I couldn't do it, so I brought it to my tutor. I said, help me out. He said, hey, go back and try it again, and if you really don't know, come back and ask me. So I went back and I tried, and I still couldn't do it. I went back to him, so he told me the same thing. I went back to him, and he told me the same thing. Now finally he said, I want you to think hard enough. So this time when I went back home, I just threw away all the distractions, no music, whatever. I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking, and it took me about half an hour, and finally I managed to crack my head open and do the question. So when you first encounter a question and you can't do it, it's actually your mind that's just telling you that, alright, I can't do it. But in reality, there's actually a barrier that's blocking. Alright, if you think hard enough, you can break through that barrier and you can solve the question. Okay, so of course you can't do it. You can't do this in exam, because you can't take half an hour to solve a freaking question, because you have no time to do the other questions. But you can practice, doing more hard questions at home on your own time, and try to work on your skill. All right, of thinking and cracking your brain open and doing the question. So when exam comes and when you encounter a hard question, all right, okay, when you're first doing all right, the paper, and you encounter a hard question, try to do it. Okay, if you can't do it, skip it and go to other questions. And then when you finish the paper, and when you have time to look through, try to go back and solve the question. Okay, and this time try to think hard enough, and try to take about 5 to 10 minutes. And if you really can't do it, just forget it. All right, at least try to write some things down. You can get some marks. So yeah, man, I mean, this is what my tutor have taught me. And oh yeah, something else. When you're doing a question, always have an endpoint. All right, always have an endpoint, and that means try to know what you're solving. All right, that's my phone. Try to know what you're solving, because without an endpoint, you just do not know where the hell you're going. All right, for example, you're just doing all these steps and then I'm lost. So try to have an endpoint, and once you have that, you know where you're going to. Okay, and use this mindset in exam as well, and you should be able to do it. So oh yeah, the last thing.